Hey, everybody. Thursday afternoon for some of you, and we're live again on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And we have some good friends. We have my colleague, Jen, who's one of our leaders on the K12 side for Canvas and Instructure, Patrick from Adobe, Tammy and Chris, who are really the special guests, who are going to be talking to us in a little bit about this new Adobe integration. Jen, I'm going to hand it over to you to kick things off. Have fun, everybody.
Hi, I'm excited to be here. We're talking a little bit about the Adobe integration in Canvas, and it's just really exciting. And with everything that's going on in the world, I think we need something to be excited about. So I think that having access to these tools, so we're talking the Creative Cloud and Adobe Spark right in Canvas, is just amazing for people who are learning to engage their students remotely. We're in this remote learning environment, and it just gives us one more way to make learning fun and interesting and make sure that students are consuming the content, but in a beautiful way. So I want to talk a little bit to Patrick from Adobe, and can you kind of give us what this integration means and why Adobe was so excited to partner with Canvas?
Yeah, thanks, Jen, and thanks everyone for having us on, and thanks everyone for tuning in. Tell you a little bit about kind of how Adobe is approaching education overall. You might, for those of you who are familiar with Adobe, you might not think of us immediately as, you know, the education company, but I'm a product marketing manager specifically for the education team, and our mission is to give every student access to the creative tools that they need to express their ideas and ensure that they're really supported throughout their entire creative journeys, whether they're in a K12 institution, whether they're moving on to higher ed, or whether it's in their first job or their first internship. And as Jen mentioned, you know, the importance for digital learning, the importance for creativity in the classroom has never been more apparent than it is now. As students are moving to remote learning environments, we see the need for creative skills and the need for students to be able to express themselves in digital ways as just increasingly important. Storytelling, visual communication, creativity, they just play such a huge role in allowing students to bring their ideas to life, whether it's, you know, in an in-person classroom or now virtually through video or web pages or application prototypes. Maybe it's a web page for a future nonprofit. Maybe it's a scientific illustration. Maybe it's and this is one of my favorite examples that I've seen recently. Maybe it's an audio interview with a close relative whose life story you just want to be able to share with the world, or your student wants to be able to share with the world. Our mission is really to make sure that students have access to the tools that they need to bring those ideas to life in whatever modality they imagine, whether it's a traditional essay or whether it's a podcast, as you know, some of these students have done with their close relative interviews. So beyond the classroom, that importance of creativity has really been validated by some major publications. You know, the World Economic Forum, Bloomberg, have all said that creativity is one of the most important qualities in future leaders, in the companies that will eventually go on to hire your students, 5, 10 years from now. And again, the importance for creativity just seems to be increasing by the day. To pivot into kind of the role that Canvas plays in supporting that mission, it's just such a huge part of supporting access to those tools, discovery of Creative Cloud and Adobe Spark, and how we can support students' discovery of all of those creative applications. We know that, as Jen mentioned, the learning management system and Canvas is just such a hub for many students' academic lives, perhaps now even more than ever, as these learning contexts are changing and as students are moving to virtual learning, and faculty and teachers and educators are trying to figure out how to move their classrooms online. This partnership is so valuable to us because of how important Canvas is to student success in so many schools around the world. Just to give kind of a quick 30,000-foot view in terms of what this integration really means. And integration is kind of a nebulous word in many regards. And Chris and Tammy are going to dive into exactly how the integration works. But the integration is twofold. It's discovery of Creative Cloud. So that's our full suite of cloud-based apps like InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, some of the bigger brand names that you probably think of when you think of Adobe and creativity. But there's also a super powerful suite of tools called Adobe Spark, and that allows students and faculty to create three different things, or three different types of assets. One is a web page, basically, or a continuous streaming sort of visual web page that Chris and Tammy may have time to show you. The second is called Adobe Spark Post, and that allows students to create really quickly content for social, like an Instagram post, posters for different student clubs or organizations that they might be a part of, as well as Adobe Spark Video, which allows students to quickly spin up really compelling and from what I've seen from some of our classrooms around the world, just breathtaking and captivating videos from students who may not have opened a video editing software in the past. And this is really a nice kind of stepping stone into creating some of those modalities. And what the learning management system and the Canvas integration really unlocks here is discovery of full Creative Cloud capabilities for those students who have access to those tools through your campuses. And then for Spark, a deeper integration where we're allowing educators to assign templates in Adobe Spark, create templates in Adobe Spark, assign them to their students if they want to give them a place to get started. Say it's a template for a web page that you want them to fill the content in on, a way to transform a traditional essay. That is something that educators can now assign to students really easily, and then through the Canvas integration, and then students can actually submit directly through Spark, and it will automatically upload to Canvas. We'll see kind of a little bit more of an end-to-end user journey for your students and faculty. But at a high level, that's really just what we're excited about. The way that Canvas is going to unlock greater student creativity and greater access to the tools that are needed to support that creativity and those ideas. So thanks again for having us.
Yeah, and I mean, what a good way to engage students right now, where we're battling, kind of making sure they're engaged, making sure that they're active, but to allow them to actually create something that they can be proud of in this challenging time. I think it is so exciting. And I'm excited to learn from Chris and Tammy about how they're using that for their students. And I think it's some really great ideas that you're going to share with us and how other educators can put that into practice in their digital classrooms. So I will turn it over to y'all to give us a demo.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, friends, thank you for having Tammy and I on today. We're going to introduce ourselves. At this point, you all should be able to, hopefully Mark will flip over our screen to be able to show our screen. Here it comes right now. If you happen to hear a garbage can outside, it's because there's a garbage truck outside. So right now, I don't think you guys can see our screens. I think you just see Tammy and I think. I could be wrong. There we go. Beautiful. So if you hear this gigantic loud noise, I apologize. I'm doing my best. But in the happiness of remote learning, we got to deal with whatever happens outside. All right. So let's talk about what we're doing today. So at the very bottom, so first of all, welcome to our Adobe Spark plus Canvas short webinar. Tim and I are super, super excited to be here. And we're really, quite honestly, I think we're pretty honored as far as being here. And what you should see, I hope, down below, you should see, let me get our comments are over top of it, but basically when they go away, you'll see a short bit.ly address. That's our show notes that we have that Tim and I put together. It's just a short little tiny notes. We talk about something called technical issues, and we just give some examples. Oh, sorry. So if you just type in that address, bit.ly, and then you see that information, it'll just come to our notes, and hopefully it's live. If it's not, we'll fix it in a few minutes. But with that being said, I'm going to let Tammy introduce herself first, and then I'm happy to introduce myself second.
Hi, and thank you for letting me be here today. I'm Tammy. A little bit about me is I've taught for a while, different states. And so I've taught 3rd grade, 5th grade, K through 5 as a reading teacher. I've taught high school, and I've taught middle school and Spanish for the last long while. This year, I'm teaching 6th grade humanities. So it's a little bit about me. I love gardening.
Yeah, awesome. So my name is, like you see, my name is Chris Giles, and both Tim and I are working in the Beaverton School District here in Oregon. A little bit about myself. If you look at my Twitter handle, you could probably guess that I'm Canadian, which is true. I am Canadian. but lived in Arizona and taught in Arizona Title I school for 15 years, the same school. And then lived in Brazil for 2 years and taught PYP and MYP in Brazil for 2 years. And now I have the opportunity to be basically a Canvas administrator for our school district, where our goal is to help implement Canvas through our whole school district and support our teachers. And we're a district of about 41,000 students, give or take a few hundred. And so we're currently in our 4th year with using Canvas in our school. We're 6 through 12 primarily when it comes to integrating Canvas in the classroom. There are some 5th grade teachers that I know and who are just amazing at using Canvas in 5th grade and maybe even 4th grade, but for sure 5th grade. And then also with us shifting to remote learning, because Tim and I have talked about that quite a bit, there's been a huge push to get teachers to kind of come on board with Canvas. And of course, that's been my goal for the last 4 years. Tammy will share hers in a second, her journey. But now we're seeing a lot more teachers moving towards using Canvas, which is obviously something that Tammy and I both support. Oh, that's nice. Okay, there we go. So just real quickly, we're talking about Adobe Spark specifically, but if you think about it as a broader term, we're actually talking about what's called an LTI, a Learning Tool Interoperability. I knew I was not going to make that word correctly. Tammy's laughing at me. The point is, when you use other tools, and you can see on the screen right now, WeVideo, Newsela, Turnitin, Formative, Adobe Spark, Flipgrid, all of those tools we actually have fully integrated into our Canvas LMS. Hence why you see where it says leveraging tools in Canvas, LTI. And so our goal, of course, is to provide our students an opportunity where they don't have to go out to multiple websites and multiple places to do the work. We want Canvas to be the hub. My boss calls it the digital glue, which is basically a space where, you know, students can go ahead and complete tasks and assignments, provide them and give them to their teachers, and then the teachers can go ahead and give feedback. And so that's one of the reasons why we like using Adobe Spark, is because of that integration inside of Canvas. I feel like I can't go too far into speaking about Adobe Spark without talking about a good friend of mine, John Samuelson, because he's been a massive influence in my own life, but also with bringing Adobe Spark into our school district a few years ago. And so I do need to make sure I give a big shout out to John, because he was a huge impact in us basically bringing Adobe to our students. And as you can see, we've got over 47,000 users. That includes teachers as well. Like I said, we have 47,000 students, but we also have teachers and staff who are using Adobe Spark. And we all have 2 gigs of drive, as you can see on this image. And these are just not actually, you don't need to read the emails, but just some history of the conversation between myself, Tammy, or John, or our IT, with trying to get Adobe integrated into our system and then also into Canvas. And then Beaverton School District has been highlighted by Adobe. Again, a massive shout out and kudos to my friend John and the teachers he's worked with as far as bringing Adobe to our district, and then Adobe coming into our school district and filming our teachers and broadcasting that. And so some of these links will actually be in our show notes, where if you do want to look at it. And I don't want to get too much into why. You heard Patrick. I mean, who could not be convinced why you wouldn't want to use Adobe Spark when Patrick's talking about how absolutely powerful and awesome it is. And it is simply that. But this is my favorite word. Why use Adobe Spark? Because obviously students and teachers get it for free. And Tammy and I are teachers, so we like free stuff, right?
Yeah.
We do. We love free stuff. We totally love free stuff. So I would just spend about just a few seconds to talk about the actual Canvas and integration of Adobe Spark and the Canvas integration. And we were asked in early, I think, October by Adobe to be a volunteer to pilot the Adobe Spark in Canvas. And of course, we said absolutely. And so we had a chance to speak with some teachers and work with some teachers. And the flow chart you see right there is essentially, there's a lot more to it, but essentially it was us basically trying to find a way to create the space, which of course I'm talking to our IT, developers key, and we do have single sign-on with Google. And then of course, as you can see, once students are in Adobe, they can go ahead and hit share to Adobe. With that being said, I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to, actually I'll have Mark switch, and he can go ahead and share Tammy's screen. And Tammy's going to go ahead and take it away.
Okay, so let's see, where are we starting here? Thank you for forgiving me and being patient, because I'm brand new at this. In Canvas, I really enjoyed using Adobe Spark. In Canvas, I have my homepage, but I'm going to show you the first example I ever made using Adobe Spark a couple of years ago, and when I was teaching Spanish. So this project I designed under assignments in Canvas, and I put in links to their video project. I put in a pre-writing activity where you can drop in the assignment. They can pre-write, and then I gave them some examples and some recordings, and then they had to fill out a rough draft script template before they recorded. This first Adobe that I tried was a recording for them. Let me show you what this looks like after. Sorry about that. One of the things that I really enjoyed about having this project in Canvas and with Adobe Spark is that it loads it straight into my Speedgrader and my Gradebook. So this is an example of one student who submitted their project. And at first, when we first started using this a couple of years ago, we've really made some strides since then. But for these videos, I had to download each one to show to see their work, and then I could give them a score, a grade. I could make any comments down here on the other side and submit that right back to them, and they could have the immediate feedback and either resubmit or fix the errors that they wanted to do. And so that was kind of nice. The script is an example of what I just showed you here on the assignment page. Oh, of course, it's going to make me log in now. But let me go back here while we're waiting for that to load. Sorry. When you were first at the assignment page in Canvas, and I gave them, here's your pre-writing activity. It was kind of like a rough draft. They could print it out and write on it, or they could do it in Google Doc. Here was the link that I just opened. I said, you're going to have to, you need this script template for your video. Since you're going to be speaking in Spanish and since you're handing it in, here's the link. And that's what I just loaded. Let me see if it loaded. So yeah, so this is the script template I gave the kids. I just marked everything out, highlighted an example. This is how you're going to form your sentences and the structure. And then they filled in 3 rooms in Spanish. They had to show the pictures in Adobe Spark, and they could record their house, or they could put a slideshow on there, and then they spoke in Spanish over that. So let's go to...
Hey, Tammy, I want to ask you real quickly.
Yeah.
Before you were using Canvas, this was like 3 years ago, what were you using before that?
Before I was using Canvas, I had been newer to this district, and so I was playing around with both Google Classroom and Canvas. And so I found both of them, I really liked both of them. I dabbled around a little bit in both before I decided there was, at that time, a lot more training coming through Canvas. And so I decided to start going to the trainings and see what Canvas had to offer. And I found that I could just do a lot more on that end and integrate a lot more in it. So I decided to start doing that, to start using Canvas a lot more. Come back a couple of years ago, I eventually became one of the contacts at school for Canvas.
Cool. All right. I just wanted to clarify how long you've been using Canvas. So only a few years, and so that's why you were showing your first design, your first page of your Spanish class. Yeah.
So here is, oops, am I on the right screen?
No, you're totally fine. Yeah.
So this was one of my first page designs on Canvas. I just kind of kept it simple as I learned how to build things, and I loved the fact that I could keep everything there, and it was so streamlined. And the kids knew where to find everything, and their assignments were turned in there, and I could get back to them there. After that, here's the first link, or the first assignment that I created with Adobe Spark. And they really loved working on this project because there are, as has been mentioned, so many tools to support creativity. I loved offering the chance to them, and they were all engaged, even students that I've had a hard time with. That, that just don't like the bookwork or the questions answering or paperwork. This really opened up a new avenue for them to show their knowledge, and they were engaged and they loved it. They were excited to build this assessment basically of their own. So
and I think you're going to have you'll have a chance to show us that assignment too, right? I believe.
Yeah, we'll get to that, and I can definitely show those assessments to people who are interested. I can show how we made them. I can show what it looks like in Canvas, and we can jump over to Adobe Spark and see what I showed the kids as far as how to create one. When I was in Adobe Spark, one thing I really liked about it, or not Adobe Spark, but with Canvas as well, this was a 2018 pick that I think I've already showed, but it shows the Speedgrader. So everything goes into Canvas, and then I just log into Canvas, into my gradebook, and I can see who's turned it in, when they turned it in, and how many times maybe they resubmitted. And I can grade it right there. I just click on, the corner, and we'll go over that live a little bit later too, and I can show you how that works. This is just a screenshot of what it looks like when it comes up in Speedgrader, and where I can give them their score and make comments.
Awesome. I love this.
Yeah. So one of the, let's see, this was recent.
Do you want to go to full screen on that for us real fast?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Like I said, I'm new. Thanks for your patience with me.
You're doing fantastic.
Not everybody needs to see our notes. So this is an example of something I did this year. And I made an amazing race assignment for the kids. I thought, what a great way to showcase Adobe Spark and their creativity as we basically went around the world. It was for a social studies assignment. And I posted it here on Canvas. Oops, sorry. Everything that they needed to do, the overview of the project. They were going to visit different places in the world, and they had certain requirements. Give me an itinerary. They had to show me on a map where they were going and to show me the distance of places. And all of those are in the assignments page here. But I did break it down bullet point by bullet point, showing them how to do this with links to helpful documents or websites that they might need to complete the assignment. Let's see. The next one that I did was, this is the second part of the Spark. This is really where we started to integrate Spark. And so I could show the kids how to do this because they hadn't tried it before. So this is part 2 of the assignment, where I break down the instructions again a bit. Now I had them go in and create a map of all the places in the world that they visited. And what I loved about Adobe Spark was I'm able to take any of this information and then they can drop it in their presentation when they're creating it in Adobe Spark. And again, I'll show you how we do that a little bit more when we go live. This is just a screenshot of the assignment. And number 2 says, okay, now we're going to create an Adobe Spark web page by clicking below. And I was able to integrate that and drop that straight into the Canvas page where they just click on make a copy, and it takes them straight to the Adobe Spark page where they make their copy, and they start right off creating their own presentation to showcase their knowledge.
So real fast, Tammy, I think you said make a copy. So I think you were able to choose a template for them, and then in the Canvas assignment, embed this Adobe Spark template in the Canvas assignment, and it made a copy for the students, correct?
Correct. Yes. And maybe at the end, if we have some time, we'll go over how to do that as well. Yeah. And it's fun because you can choose a template for the kids to use, or they can choose templates, or they can just start with a page and make anything that they want to. They can drop pictures on there. They can add videos or music. And so it really gives a wide variety of tools for them to use. It's a great suite of tools, as was mentioned earlier for a visual web page, so to say. Let's see. So this is an example of the recent things that I saw and what comes up. So when you're in Speedgrader and they submit it through Adobe into Canvas, we'll show you how to do that again a little bit later during the live demonstration. But when it shows up in Canvas on my Speedgrader, this is more or less what it looks like. It'll say the name of who submitted it, the grade they get, any comments that I want to add. You just click on that picture and it takes you straight to their assignment in Adobe Spark, and then you can grade it and see it all in Canvas. This is a picture of the gradebook. I really appreciated Speedgrader and being able to integrate Adobe Spark through Speedgrader, because in my gradebook, here you have a gradebook you can open up, you can look. This gradebook shows you your assignment at the top, and there's many things you can do with that, many options, but here is where it records it. It's color-coded to show you, if it's late, missing, or excused, or if you used points or just complete, incomplete. And so that was just quick and easy. I was able to keep everything there digitally and see it whenever I needed to see it. Well, we have time. If there's no questions on those pictures, we have time
to let's go do it. Let's go do it.
Okay.
Yeah, and for those of you who know and love the Canvas gradebook, Tammy was also showing you how it shows evidence of students submitting work instantly in her gradebook. And if Tammy wanted to, she could go ahead and message students instantly through the gradebook of those students who may not have completed the assignment or turned it in. So that's the reason why we wanted to show the gradebook. And yes, those names were blocked out. We made sure that we are doing our best to make sure we keep our students' information quiet and careful and safe.
Yes, thank you for adding that. I guess before we go into our live demo, we had left, do we have any Q&As about any of the
I think we've been doing pretty good with answering questions, the live questions. I think that we did address that you can use a template in Adobe Spark, and it will go ahead and give the students the opportunity to make that copy. Or like you said, Tammy, they could start from scratch if they wanted to as well.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Awesome. Then let's keep going.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, okay. So I need to switch over to a different screen, I think. All right. So you're going to see a whole bunch of tabs here real quick. So backing up, we went through all of our slides, the assignments, okay, and what it looks like when it's due. This is an assignment that I was saying, hey, this is what it looks like. You just click on it and it'll connect. Let me see if it's doing that. Oh, it's not connecting now. Oh, huh. No, it's not connecting. But the
you can hit refresh.
Yeah, I've already opened it. So the project is here in Canvas, and as you scroll down, they can make this look so different. This one is very basic and simple, but they met the requirements. So she threw in her map here that she had created, the places she had gone all the way around to the world, and she had marked them and dropped pins. And their goal was to tell me how far apart, absolute location or relative location. And it was just kind of like the Amazing Race. So they had a starting location, and they could choose anywhere in the world they wanted to. They had to give me latitude and longitude. There were paragraphs that we required about the climate and the geography and economic status, and then also a task that they were each given. And what I like about this is I can just scroll down the page, and she's created all this on her own. So she's decided what pictures to put in where, what text boxes she wants where, and what to add anywhere along this page or in her presentation. Here's a second location. They were supposed to have pictures of each location different, and then the requirements, and then their clue for the next location of where they were going. So I did definitely love having it integrated into Canvas, because boom, I can just click on this and see her whole project. And as I'm looking at it, I can click over here on comments, and or I can even record comments or whatever I want to add to that.
And you can go ahead and do voice comments too, Tammy, right down below where it says the icon for microphone, camera, like if you want to film or do text comments as well. Someone had asked a few minutes ago, I think it was Brad who had asked, how is it being rostered? And so what we're rostering, all of our students are rostered through Google Single Sign-On, and that's being passed through Canvas. And so when the students are in Canvas, they're automatically going ahead and being rostered through to Adobe. And so when they go ahead, Tammy's going to show you in just a second how students can submit. So they'll actually be able to submit to that Canvas course.
Yes, remind me if I don't get to it. So I'm going to go to the next tab. This is, I believe, where yeah, we're going to start talking about submitting. So this is where I came to part 2 of the Amazing Race with the students. And in the assignments, I said, okay, since you haven't done this before, let's walk through this, right? And so I put everything on the assignments page and showed them, this is what you need to do, and this is kind of how you're going to do it. So step 1, here's your map. Take your map and put it in Adobe. Well, here's your map. You had to create it first. And now step 2 is you're going to create your own Adobe Spark web page, and you're going to add this in there. So I gave him some instructions, but here is where I kind of want to show you that this is where I would insert the Spark here instead of back earlier where we had the screenshot of, oh, they've gone to sleep, of make a copy, and we said you could use a template. Here is where you can go and create your own. That's not it either. All right, well, let's go back to where we were. So we're going to insert Spark here. So let's say that you're a teacher, you're wanting to do this. The first thing that I did was I went onto my account to Adobe Spark, and I wanted to show the kids, this is how you can do this. So let me see here where it is. That's how to submit. We'll show you in a second. This is the first one. I went in and just vaguely started real quickly. I said, okay, kids, you're going to be able to go to Adobe Spark, and this is what it can do for you. You can put a picture and you can type over it, and you can scroll or flip through next things. You can add text on top of information that you want to explain or that you're required to show your knowledge of, or you can add videos and talk about the information, and then they would fill out, a paragraph on whatever was required. But they can design that, and that's what they love so much, is the ability and flexibility to be able to go into Spark and take all the research that they've learned and the knowledge that they have, and then to create their own. Here is one that a student made. And these are 6th graders, so they're younger, and this is the first time they've ever played around on Spark or seen it. And so they were just learning more or less the tools that it offers, and then being able to create their assessment. They had a requirement, the outlines and the rubrics of information they needed to put in there, and they could design it however they wanted to. This one is fairly simple. They didn't type on the pictures, they just inserted it, and you could go down like as a slideshow through it. So let's go to, after I showed them how to do it, and then they created their own. Was this first one? Yeah, this was me saying, okay, you're going to open up Adobe Spark. Now, Chris, is it particular to our, well, I guess we made the link in Canvas for them, so they didn't even have to.
Right. I think so. If you want to go back to the assignment, I think it's the tab to the left, or we'll go back to where the original Canvas assignment is, where it says do. I think it's 2 more over to the left, right there. Try that one. Oh, maybe 1 to the right. Yeah, and then click on edit at the top. Because I think what we're going to do is we're going to show how you made these beautiful instructions for students. But once we click on edit, we're going to move our mouse to the spot where we said insert Adobe at the top where the instructions are. Mm-hmm. So we'll scroll down to our instructions, put our cursor up to where it says insert Spark, just maybe below it if you want to. And then, Tammy, you can show how right next to the YouTube, and in our instance, YouTube is one of the options right there, but right next to it is that V, it's basically a drop down. So Tammy's going to show you that this is how you can get to Adobe Spark the way we set it up. Yeah, and like we had mentioned before, like these are some of the ones that already, but see at the top where it says create new, Tammy? So if you want to go ahead and create a new one, you can create a new one, or you can go ahead and do a template as well. So somebody had asked earlier, like, hey, can we use templates? Do we have to start from scratch? The beauty is you could choose whichever direction you want. We're just giving this to students. When they click on the assignment, they have those instructions, and then they can click on the little link that we're putting in Canvas. It'll take them right to Adobe. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and insert or attach that, and we can show what that looks like.
Okay. I had clicked on something here. Hang on.
Oh, you just go back to the other tab to the left.
Yeah, I can just jump or go back. Okay, so going back here. Nope. this is where we were editing. Let me just
Yep.
close out of.
Then you can just attach one. Go ahead and just hover over one, and you can attach one if you want to.
All right, so I'm just going to go here and insert Adobe Spark, and then we'll just attach.
Yeah, you can do create new.
So I'm going to come back up here. Yep, create new.
And then you can just choose one of the templates, or yeah, and just hit attach.
We'll just attach. I've used a page before.
Yep. And then you just scroll down and hit save.
So yep, it pops up like that right in your Canvas assignment for you. It makes it easy because they just click on make a copy. And then yeah, you would scroll all the way down and click save.
Well, in this case, yeah, and we're saving because we don't want to bug our students with a published assignment. So that's why we hit publish. Yeah. When the students get to this assignment, you can see Tammy showing you awesome instructions, super detailed, and then students need to click on that link and it takes them right to Adobe already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was fairly seamless to put in there, and I loved it. And it was easy for the kids because if you tell them, especially sixth graders or younger kids, hey, okay, we're going to do Spark now, if they've never heard of that, then you have to give them a website, and they're just, it eliminates all those other steps. It makes it so much easier. They just click on this, and then they get started right away on their project. And that's really easy. This is, if you create a new page, this is adding the title, like I had said, okay, create new. When they made their own copy, this is what would pop up. And then it gives them the ability to add their titles, add a photo, and then text on top of it, add buttons or videos. They have so many options, and that's where they have a lot of fun, and the creativity comes out showcasing what they know and what they've learned about the material that they're being assessed on, and they don't really realize, they don't feel it's that way. They find it fun, and they beg, and they come in and ask, are we going to do Adobe Spark today? And that's what you want to hear as a teacher. Let's see. So this was, we went over, yep, that was mine. This was what the kids ended up creating.
This and then you want to show them that right there where it says send to Canvas if you want.
Yeah, so when they're done with their project, here they're creating it. This is in Adobe Spark. When they're done with their project and making it, the easiest way is they don't have to, the easiest way is they can just click share up here on the top. It gives them option to publish, invite, or send to Canvas. And I really love that. It's new, integrated into Canvas now. And so when they click that, it sends it straight to Canvas. The assignment is submitted.
Yep.
And then it shows up in my gradebook, as you saw, and then I just grade it from there.
Awesome. I think that was, I think we covered everything, and then we could answer questions of anybody else. Tim, I don't know if you have anything else to show, but that's the button right there that we love, is to send to Canvas. And for those who've never used before, when a student clicks to Canvas, send to Canvas, it will show them the course, and it will show the assignment that they're submitting it to as well.
Yeah, so you're right. You have to, when it says send to Canvas, they're going to select a class that they're sending it to, and that's it.
Yep. All right. Hey, listen, our friends, Patrick and Jen are back. Nice. Welcome back, friends.
Thank you. Thank you for that great presentation. I think that we have a lot of comments going online. I think people are really excited about doing this in their own classroom. There were a couple questions I just wanted to mention in case we missed it in the chat. So this integration is not specific to the situation. This is a permanent offering that we have. We were working on it before the COVID situation. And so this is something that will be available after we get, after this crisis. So that's really exciting. We also had some questions about Spark. So Tammy and Chris previewed Spark, but Patrick, can you just remind us of what's included in that integration?
Yeah, of course. So as Tammy and Chris walked through, this unlocks the ability for educators to assign and receive submissions around Adobe Spark. Within Adobe Spark, there are kind of three key functionalities that students and faculty and educators can take advantage of. And the first is Adobe Spark Page, which is a really nice way to create a really quick web page or to transform a traditional essay or presentation. The second is Adobe Spark Post, and that is essentially a quick way for students to create social media or smaller graphics like posters. Is one use case that we've seen come out of that. And then Adobe Spark Video. So for students who have never used maybe like a multi-channel video editing tool, Adobe Spark Post kind of wipes away all of that prior knowledge needed, and students could get up and running with creating video right away through Adobe Spark Video.
And we also have the whole Creative Cloud, right? The things that, you know, when you think of Adobe, the whole suite is also included in that. So we just touched on a little part of what can be done, and it's super exciting. We also had some questions about templates. There are a lot of templates in Spark that you can start. If you're new to Adobe Spark, you can start there. Those were posted in the comments, so if you can check that out. Anything else we want to cover, guys?
I think the last one there, Jen and Chris, maybe you can take this. Ben had asked on Facebook, does the send to Canvas only appear if they click on the Adobe Spark link within Canvas? Do you know, Chris?
From my experience, it's if you don't have the integration set up, then there is no doorway, right? There's no pathway from Adobe Spark to go to Canvas. So you have to have that you have to have the LTI set up. And I just put through the notes again, the show notes. And so the show notes just simply have the video that I think Patrick gave to us, which does give the run through of how to use Canvas and the integration. But then there's 2 more links that actually talks about how to provision your students before you deploy, and then also actually the integration of Canvas and the LTI, the key and secret, which is our favorite word to use. So if you're not familiar with it, so the answer is yes. If you have to have the LTI to show up in order for it to submit to Canvas. Same with our other LTIs are the same way. We use other ones that do the same thing, and you need to have those set up first.
Very cool. So if you want to learn more about it, if you're new to this, we have some information on our blog about the Adobe Canvas integration. I would check out there. I would definitely check out the notes that Chris shared. I think those are great. All these videos are recorded and on demand, and there's now, over the last 2 weeks, I don't even know how many you've done, Mark, but a lot. Those are all available so that you can watch them on demand, pause, walk through with Tammy, you know, as you're creating your own, follow her instructions. So be sure to check those out on the instructure.com website, and it's also available on the platforms as well.
I do have to say that the kids have had so much fun using it. They're enthusiastic to learn, and it gives them their own way to make their assessments. And as a teacher, that's what you want. You want to see them coming in excited to start something and continue working on it. So I love it. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. You should all know that the brainchild behind this project is actually Chris, who is our presenter today. He was the one that came up with an idea one weekend when we all should have been resting, and we decided why not just work through the weekend and pull together a live stream program. Chris is on tomorrow.
Normal for me.
Talking about LTIs and why they're rad. So 10:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, Chris is back with our friend Brad Moser. So check it out. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Adobe. Thanks, Tammy. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Goodbye.